Well, good morning. Good, beautiful Wednesday morning. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and we will be glad in it. I am so glad that you have been able to join us today, that you are going to take a few minutes out of your day, probably about 10 minutes, maybe a little less, and you are going to spend some time on a message that God is sending through this video, and that you're going to take this and chew on it, and that your day will be improved. I hope you're encouraged today. I hope you're encouraged that you woke up, that you got up out of the bed, and that God has given you another opportunity. And for most of us, we will have the opportunity to touch other people. We will go, as I said on Sunday, go out the front doors of this church and come in contact with unbelievers or those who are discouraged in the faith, or maybe young children who don't have a faith yet, or maybe teen adults that need some guidance. Regardless of what it is, God has a mission for you, and I hope that you will take this time to actually look at that mission and realize that your mission field may be your family. Your mission field may be your workplace. Your mission field may be some people who are discouraged that you know about, or some people who are sick that you know about. But you do have a mission field, and I want you to be encouraged today that God is leading you in that work. We're going to read out of Joshua 3 today, Joshua 3. I'm planning on 4 different messages out of this chapter, so the first message will come out of Joshua 3 verses 1 to 4. So let's read them together. It says, "Then Joshua rose early in the morning, and they set out from Acacia Grove and came to the Jordan, he and all the children of Israel, and lodged there before they crossed over. So it was after 3 days that the officers went through the camp, and they commanded the people, saying, when you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and the priests, the Levites, bearing it, then you shall set out from your place and go after it. Yet there shall be a space between you and it, about 2,000 cubits by measure. Do not come near it, that you may know that the way by which you must go, for you have not passed this way before." This is a beautiful story of something that many Christians are sort of unaware of. I know many people know the story of the parting of the Red Sea, where Moses led the children of Israel through, but people are far less familiar with this beautiful story of Joshua parting the Jordan. The Jordan River was between them and the Promised Land, and they needed to get across, and God is going to perform a miracle for them, just as He performed it for Moses at the Red Sea. Very first thing I want to talk about is I want you to notice when Joshua got started. Joshua rose early in the morning. And then it says they set out. All the children of Israel set out. Now, some of those children of Israel were not morning people. Guaranteed, they were not morning people. Joshua set out early in the morning, and the people chose to follow Joshua, and they chose to be in God's will. And I would encourage you today to be in God's will first thing in the morning. The first thing that you do when you wake up, start your day with God. Now, some work second shift and they don't wake up until 8 or 10 in the morning. I understand that. You can still start your day with God. Some people work third shift and they go to bed at 6 in the morning and they don't wake up until 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I understand that. Start your day with God. Whenever you awaken, start your day with God. Start in His Word. Start with prayer and meditation. Rise early. Don't make excuses. There are no excuses to be avoiding contact with God. There are no acceptable excuses. So that's the first thing. Out of verse 1, it says Joshua rose early in the morning. We find that throughout the Bible, that people rose early in the morning and spent time with God. They got started. Then in verse 3, it says, when you see the Ark of the Covenant. So it goes through that, and the priests are going to be bearing it, and they are going to go to the Jordan. We don't have the Ark of the Covenant today, but we have Jesus Christ. When we see Jesus Christ, we are to set out from our place and we are to go after Him every day. Not just on Sunday morning from 11 to 12, but every day we are to get up and we are to look at our Savior, what He represents, and we are to say, I am going to go after Jesus today. Not go after church, not go after religious things, we're going to go after what Christ teaches. That's how we need to be focused. So verse 3, it tells us that then you shall set out from your place and go after it. Now what does that tell us? It tells us also that we are not to get in front of it. See, Jesus is leading us and we are to go after Him. We are not to try to get in front of Him. We are not to try to get beside Him. We are not to try to tell Him the way He should go. He has given us a directive and we are to follow. So I hope that you are going after Jesus with your whole heart and your whole soul, your whole mind today, that you are pursuing Christ. And then in verse 4 there, it talks about a space of 2,000 cubits by measure. It says, do not come near it, that you may know the way by which you must go, for you have not passed this way before. There are times in our life that we are in an area that we have never passed this way before. And the way is uncertain. Now, sometimes we're in familiar territory, but many times we are in unfamiliar territory. And we are to seek Christ's guidance. That's what I feel like this is telling me to say today. We are to seek His guidance, and we are to follow that guidance, and we are to seek it, and then we are to go the way that we are told to go, because we have not passed this way before. So when we are following Jesus Christ, each and every day is a new day that we are being challenged to follow faithfully in areas that perhaps we are uncomfortable with or perhaps we do not know. We are challenged. And so Joshua with the children of Israel, the priests have taken the Ark of the Covenant, come to the edge of the Jordan, and now they are being given instruction that they are to follow the Ark of the Covenant. They're not to get in front of it. They're not to get beside it. They're not to try to make their own way. They're not to go down the river 100 yards and think that that'll do just fine. They are to follow this way, because this is the way into the promised land. And what I'm telling you is that Christ gives us a directive. He says, go by the narrow path, right? Don't go by the wide way, go by the narrow path. Yeah, but if you go down here, there's a pastor telling me that it's easier to cross down here. Is he following Jesus Christ? If he's not, then he is leading astray. We need to follow on the path that God gives us through His Son. I want you to be encouraged today. I want you to know that you have the path that is in the Bible. The Bible tells us which way to go. We are to go that way, and we are to not divert from it. We're not to try to get in front of it. We're not to try to be wiser than it, or at least try to be wiser than it. We are to follow it. So I want you to be encouraged today. I am praying for you. I know you are praying for me. I am praying for this nation during this time of election, that God will lead us to the right answer. I want you to go out and I want you to vote your values, or as close as you can possibly get to them. I want you to vote your values, and I want you to pray for this nation, that God will raise up the leaders that we need, that will help us heal this nation and turn back to Him. I love you. I know you love me. Be encouraged this week, and I hope you have a great rest of the week.